Conspiracy 365, January, 3rd of January. 363 days to go. 11:21 a.m. I phoned Boges. I couldn't wait to tell him what had happened. I knew he'd be blown away. Boges is my best friend from school. We've been tight ever since he walked into my kindergarten class 10 years ago with his weird hand-painted wooden lunchbox and so what attitude. He's Ukrainian and heaps bigger than me, heavier and more muscular, and everything about him is sort of round. We get pretty competitive with each other, but it always seems to even out. I'm lighter and faster on my feet, but he's a total brain. He tops all of our classes, and even though he mucks up all the time, he gets away with it because the teachers think of him as some sort of eccentric genius. Our house was broken into, I told him. The whole place has been trashed, but I don't know if they even took anything. Nothing seems to be missing, and the one thing that we think is missing might not even have been there in the first place. I heard something crash on the other end of the line. Boges fumbled with the phone. Just a sec, he called out. Boges cruises the council throwouts, collecting things he can fix and recondition. He rebuilds laptops, computers, cameras, phones, and gets all sorts of small motors running again. Then he sells them on eBay and makes a fortune. He must have been in the middle of working on something complicated. Dude, said Boges, jumping back on the phone, you're not making much sense. Slow it down, hey? I told him about the break-in and the empty jewellery box in the suitcase. And Rafe completely freaked out about it, I said, like he knows something we don't. Your uncle's always been a freak-out kind of guy, said Boges. At least that's what you've always told me. He's not exactly calm when you need him to be. He was right. Rafe was pretty edgy, and a loner too, the opposite of Dad. Gabby and I never had much to do with him until Dad came back sick from Ireland last year. Rafe had been on a holiday down south somewhere, but came back when he found out about Dad. I was starting to feel a bit guilty about my attitude again. I knew he was trying to help Mum, but I just couldn't lose that bad feeling. I was about to tell Boges what had happened after I last saw him, New Year's Eve, the crazy guy and the Treachery Bay disaster, but I was interrupted by the arrival of our neighbours. Sorry, gotta go, Boges, talk to you tomorrow. 6:42 p.m. Marjorie and Graham from next door came over and spent the afternoon with us, helping the clean-up and getting our house back to normal. They ordered us in pizzas for dinner, and by night time the house looked pretty much the way it had when we locked it up last week. Mum couldn't thank them enough. That's what neighbours are for, Win, said Marjorie as Mum said goodbye to her and Graham at the front door. Rafe left to go home too. I was watching him get into his car when I heard Mum calling me from the kitchen. Cal, I want to talk to you. Gabby had fallen asleep in front of the TV, and I threw a blanket over her before sliding onto one of the stools next to Mum. Not too many people your age have had to experience what you went through in the sea the other night, Mum said, as we sat around on the kitchen bench. Not knowing whether you'll live or die. Her eyes filled with tears, and I let her tuck my hair behind my ears. Normally we fight over my hair, and during the holidays it had grown pretty long. She paused. With the robbery and everything, we haven't even had a chance to talk about what happened. I want to know that you're okay, Cal, especially after everything else, losing your dad. She sighed. Her face looked so sad and defeated. I want you to talk to me if anything's bothering you, anything at all, okay? Now, let me have a look at that hand. Mum undid my bandage and carefully lifted the antibiotic mesh off the wound. The swelling was going down already. She pulled a clean bandage out of her pocket and looked at me, waiting for me to say something. Don't worry about me, I shrugged. I'm fine.